these are the players that I would have selected. The thinking behind it, the background of the player, the assessment. Um, Try not to get too much in comparison to what the Titans did, but obviously it is apparent and obvious. Quick intro: if this is your first time viewing me or find my account, name's Charles Barnes. Have some experience in front offices at colleges in the recruiting department. I'm also a certified data analyst. Got that from PFF. Um, also have done some coaching and stuff like that. So the name of my game and what I do for over the last decade is just keeping accountability, um, improving the process. So I'm more of a guy that tries to simulate the real process as much as possible, as opposed to being a draft media talking head. So in other words, I really kind of do this. So over the past decade or so, the average GM gets about one pick correct out of seven. And what does correct mean? Let's just say the prospect has maybe a 4-year career. They lived out their contract. They produced in their role the best that they could. We're going to call that a hit, right? And every GM on average probably gets about one and a half correct. I've been able to triple that process over the timeline of what I've been doing. And how do I know that? Because I document it. So every year I'm not refreshing my mind and forgetting about the misses, like, and I'm talking about the other people, how other people kind of treat NFL draft. Or I'm not going through 250 players, 350 players. I actually go through thousands, but I'm not going through 300 players and saying, "Oh, this first rounder is good," and then victory lap that for years to come. I'm one of the few people who was high on Cavante Turpin. He was a journeyman across every darn football league in the world, and then finally got signed by an agent who was following me at the time, and signed that agent because I always talked about Turpin. And Turpin's on the second contract, just signed, I think, 6 million per year. So I'm pretty sure that agent is glad that he met me. But and he's a Pro Bowler, Turpin was. So that's kind of the stuff that I bring, just little tidbits there. I always try to do this intro with all my videos as an intro because I heard people want to have social proof, because I'm always combated with credibility. So I'm giving the people what they want to hear, apparently. For me, if it was up to me, just judge me on my hits and misses. But people want to bring this part of the equation into it. But anyway, shout out to the Titans for acquiring this pick 82, because they were able to maneuver with the Seahawks and get this third round pick, which it's not like a mega mind or a galaxy brain, because I really think that that's the sweet spot for teams trying to trade up. So when somebody presented that to them, probably made a ton of sense. But shout out to them for manipulating and maneuvering in this draft pretty well. But I would have selected Wyatt Milum, which I got the name. I knew it was Milum, but I got the name wrong in real time when I announced the draft pick last week. But anyway, Wyatt Milum out of West Virginia, 6'6", 310 ish, with a frame to add some more mass. He's mature, technique sound. He has gamesmanship, and what does that mean? He understands what the pass rusher in front of him is trying to do through tape study, and then he adapts mid-game. Good size with room to grow. As I said, he has to get stronger if he's going to convert to an interior offensive lineman. And he has offensive lineman positional flexibility. I think he can still be a swing tackle in a pinch, so he still has that value to a team. 43 starts at right tackle and left tackle. He has great grip strength, and he can seal block very well, creating holes. And I just went with this type of player at pick 82 because I think in the value of this particular draft, getting a player like this is incredibly monumental because he's versatile and he has the intangibles that you like out of a player like that. When you have a player to where you can say, okay, if we train him and we coach him, he can be a center. If we train him and we coach him, he can be a If we train him and we coach him, he can be a guard. If we need a tackle in a pinch, our starter went down. Our starter went down on the right tackle. And then we have somebody kind of handling the interior right now. Wyatt Milum, hey man, get in there at right tackle. Hey Milum, get in there at left tackle. Hey Milum, get in there at left guard. Hey Milum, get in there at right guard. Hey Milum, try out center. So you mean to tell me you drafted a guy that can play all the positions and he has size and he did it now the level of comp isn't, SEC level, obviously, but at West Virginia, he did it consistently, right? 43 starts across both ends, lots of experience. He has the intangibles. I just thought this was excellent value. Obviously, he got taken by the Jaguars. So we'll get to see him develop because he plays the Titans twice a year. So just awesome value to me, in my opinion. So the concerns, sometimes his pad level is a bit too high. He is 6'6". He is a tall guy. His lateral movement is a bit, it can get clunky as with any offensive lineman. His hand placement is inconsistent. That can be coached. He needs to get it tighter. He needs to make sure he gets his hands on people first in certain situations. That's not always the case. He's experienced, what do I have in my notes? Experience as a pass blocker on the inside. That's what he has to improve on. So just knowing the tricks of the trade, because he's been a tackle for so long. That's one of the things that he has to improve upon. So I'm also adding comps to these evaluations. I think on the low end, he's like a Dylan Radins on the low end. If he floors and bottoms out, a guy that can get some starts, but up and down play if he doesn't tighten up that technique and then get a little bit more mobile and lower his pad level. But I think he's very similar to getting a third round version of Peter Skoronski as well. I know that the Titans aren't really talking about or entertaining Skoronski at tackle anymore, but if they absolutely had to, it would be malpractice not to give someone like Skoronski an opportunity. Now we're on year 3 for him on the interior, so I'm not talking about in real time, but certainly when he was a rookie, I think he was a guard. I had him as a guard, but I still think that because of that muscle memory, he could have played tackle as well. And I think that's the same thing with Milum here. So overall, just love the value. I think his role on this team would have been like the backup guard or third stringer, and then he'd be a starter by year 2. So, or the next year, 2026. So love the pick. Like I said, it was a great marriage between the analytics and the tape. And that's who I would have selected. Wyatt Milum from Canova, West Virginia.